Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the FM20 beta with Zebu Nation. And we are, of course, back with Nashville SC. We have our first game today, but, I thought that we would actually look at the club before I get into the game, because last episode we sort of looked at the beta more than we looked at the club, right? We looked at the drafts and all of that stuff to see whether the beta was going to hold up or not, and it seems like it will. So we're going to go into Nashville SC a little bit and, do sort of the traditional things that you might do. Look at the club history, take a look at the club background. It is a brand new club, so there's not a lot here. But it says founded in 2017, Nashville SC, a professional American club. They booked their place in MLS by winning promotion from the Eastern Conference last season. What does that mean? The USSL Division 1. So there's a little bit wrong with this first couple of sentences here. Anyway, the clubs play their home games at First Tennessee Park, possesses adequate training facilities, basic youth facilities. Club also has a fairly basic academy coaching, fairly basic youth recruitment, so we got a lot of work to do, basically. Now, as for this background here, founded in 2017, that's not quite right, but it's also not quite wrong. So, what happened is that in 2016, the professional Nashville SC sort of bought out the amateur Nashville SC, which was founded in 2013. At least all this is according to the Wikipedia page. You could look it up yourself if you want to, but then why am I here, right? That's what I'm here for, I guess. Anyway, so you could say it was founded in 2013. You could also say it was founded in 2016 when the club was announced, but 2017 is when they got their announcement to be the next club in MLS. So, it's all sort of thrown together, and I guess FM chose 2017 as the year. That's fine. They did play 1 year in 2018. They played 1 year in USL 1. So this USL Division 1 was probably from when they were an amateur club. So it's sort of a combination of the different foundings of this club. Anyway, they do play their games. At least they did at First Tennessee Park. It's my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, but going forward, until they get their downtown stadium built, they're going to be playing their clubs at Vanderbilt University. Probably on, I don't know if they have a big soccer complex down there or not. I think they just have a big football stadium, so they're probably playing in the football stadium. But, for our purposes here, we're going to be playing at First Tennessee Park. 10,000 capacity. It's actually a baseball stadium with like 8,500 seats and then like a big berm, a big grassy area that another 2,000 people can sit. So it's an interesting stadium, but, it's sort of what a lot of USL teams have. My local team, they played in a baseball park too. So, it's not the worst thing. They don't have great sight lines, but, they're there. They're already built. And, they've got pretty decent capacity for that level of soccer. It's just not quite large enough for MLS. So I think they're moving to Vanderbilt University. Anyway, that was fun. We got the club going on. Let's see what else. Club vision. So we don't have a lot. This is new, right? This is new for the beta, but our contract runs out this year. So the club's not going to give us a 5-year vision plan if they could get rid of us this year. So we're going to have to wait for the 5-year plan later this year, but I think we can match these requirements pretty easily. So I think we're going to get another contract. All we have to do is finish bottom of the league, which, you can't not finish bottom of the league. So I think that's pretty good. Finish bottom of the league in Supporters Shield. Again, it's sort of you can't fail because you can't get relegated in MLS, so no problems there. And then reach the 4th round minimum. I think that's where we enter the U.S. Cup is 4th round. So, basically, we're going to get a new contract. Currently, they are happy with our club culture, which is sign under 23 players for the first team. And if you recall, We drafted a lot of under 23 players from the Super Draft and from some of the other drafts. So they were happy with all of those signings. So that's good. So next year, well, maybe mid-season this year when we get our new contract, we'll look at this 5-year plan again. The only thing that they're concerned about is the trade with Montreal, and that's that one that I showed you before where we traded that striker Ruiz away for a couple of draft picks. But, I wasn't real happy with that. But I just wanted to see if we could do it and get some extra draft picks, and it was fine. I'm happy with it the way it turned out because I think we've got a better option at striker, which I'll show you momentarily. Finances, again, not much has changed here. This is all league specific is where we really need to look, but our overall balance, $5.8 million, we're fine. We're fine. Salary cap, we're spending under the salary cap, $848,000. We got $1 million in transfer. All of our MLS numbers are looking good. The problem is over here, we're currently spending over what the board gave us as a payroll. So that's sort of strange. You don't see that very often in MLS where you're spending under the salary cap but over your payroll budget. And that's probably due to our Nashville 2 club. That's probably where those extra spending is coming from, but we'll see about that. I guess we can go through the checklist here a little bit. Nashville Academy, not much going on here. We can check a look at the development center. You can see the development center is void of prospects. Our academy has no players. We have a poor squad at Nashville, too. You can see we sent a few players down there. Sort of our best guy is Vinny Vermeer, 24-year-old Dutch midfielder. We could bring him up to the main team if necessary, but right now it's not incredibly necessary. He is a squad player, though, so maybe we should. I don't know. DeJuan Jones, we sent him down there. He's just not quite good enough for MLS level right now. He does have MLS potential in 3 stars, but not right now. He's not there. Ricardo Pepi, the 17-year-old. He's another one who's got some potential, but he's not there at the moment. Theo Baer also has a little bit of potential, but maybe not enough. So we don't have much going on at all in terms of youth that isn't in the first team. Now, we did make a couple of transfers since last time you were here. Transfer history. We had another draft. We had the March waiver draft. And honestly, I didn't have a lot of roster spots available in terms of MLS roster spots. Basically, I could only sign senior players with a regular MLS contract or off-budget players who were homegrown, which means youngsters. So we signed 3 youngsters. We signed Adam Chan, 17-year-old, not a great player, a right winger. This was another situation where I didn't have the time or opportunity to scout this draft. I just sort of took flyers on these guys because they were homegrown. Now, why are they homegrown? Because obviously they didn't come from our academy, but they did come from an MLS academy, so that marks them as homegrown. Any player that comes from any MLS academy counts as homegrown as far as MLS is concerned, so that's good. Scott Reese is another guy we picked him up because he could play all 3 positions, another 17-year-old, another homegrown kid. Again, not a very good player. He's got a little bit of potential, the most potential of the guys. And then Shane O'Neill from Orlando City, defender. He's halfway decent, 6'2", decent strength and jumping reach, not great technicals, sort of MLS caliber, I guess. MLS reserve caliber anyway. And he's 26 years old, but he still counts as homegrown because he came from the Rapids Academy way back in 2011. Anyway, those were sort of the small moves, and then we made one big move. We weren't going to go into this season without a lead striker. So we went and we traded for a guy who was available, and that is Dom Dwyer from Orlando City. I don't know what it is, but he's available every year in MLS. Dom Dwyer's available. Orlando's looking to get rid of him. And we got him for a 1st-round pick and a 4th-round pick. That's absolutely fine. And, he's going to be our lead striker, without a doubt. he's one of the best players on our team now that we have him. He does have some cons which aren't great, fairly limited when it comes to picking out passes. He's not performing well in training right now. He's declining, but we're going to, as we improve our coaching staff and our training facilities and all that stuff, hopefully Dom will perk up. We also traded for another interesting guy, Paxton Pomykal. This is a guy who should not be available, but he was available from FC Dallas. I listened to the FC Dallas podcast, which also happens to be the ESPN Soccer Today podcast, but they focus on FC Dallas quite a bit. And from their point of view, Paxton Pomykal is like, he's like the future of the team, especially at midfield. Even some people are saying he's like the future of midfield for the USA national team. So the fact that he was available, we got him for a third-round pick and a little bit of allocation money, and he's not that great. He's only got 3 stars potential, only 2-star current ability. He's just not that good. Passing, his tackling is low. Like, Paxton Pomykal got a rough deal in this beta. He needs to get better. They definitely need to update this database because he's a much better player than what he looks at here. And FC Dallas just gave him a big new contract, so he should not be available. He was transfer listed basically. So yeah, that's it. And then finally, we picked up an extra waiver draft so we could pick that third player. And that's because our roster was a little low. We can take a look at our squad here. Take a look at our MLS registration. I'm not a real fan of what they've done here in this registration. They've changed how the registration looks. And to me, it's a little more confusing. Maybe it's not to some other people. But the big problem is this right here. This field is not large enough. We've got $, question mark, question mark, question mark here. So the only way we can see our team salary is to glance over it, and it only goes out to 3 figures here. 3.46 million doesn't show everything. So I guess that's not the worst thing that ever happened in the world. It is just a little bit inconvenient to have to mouse over this thing instead of having it visible like all these other numbers are. So we've got only 3 of 8 internationals, so we could sign more international players if we want to, but that's not really what I'm looking for this year. We do have 2 designated players. We could sign a third, but he has to be a young player under 23. So if we want to do that, if we want to make a big splash, we do have room for that. We got salary cap room. We've got transfer budget room. Our only problem is overall salary. So I don't want to bankrupt the club in the first year, honestly. Now, the off-budget players is where we had to finagle the roster a little bit, bring in those homegrown, because you can see we can have a maximum of 4 non-homegrown reserve players. So in order to bring in those extra reserve players, they had to be homegrown. So all that equals to 26 total players on the roster. That's fine. It's not the maximum of 30, but it's close enough. Let's see. Is there anything else really want to look at before we get to the matchups? I don't know about that. Let's see. Dynamics, of course. A new team. New dynamics are not that great. Team cohesion is low. Locker room atmosphere is good, though, and improving, so that's good. Leadership support is good. So I'm having a positive influence on the team. Hierarchy is a little bit messed up, but we do have Anibal Godoy. He was one of the signees who's coming into the club in real life, coming over from San Jose. He's a veteran. He's a star player. So he's immediately taken team leadership, and I'm very happy about that. We also have some of our other, experienced quality players, Zimmerman, Dyer, Mukhtar. These guys are recent signees, and they're going to move up to highly influential very soon, I'm pretty sure. Social groups, we're split a little bit, but again, first season, that's to be expected. Happiness, most people are sort of happy. Stuver is a little concerned because he ain't getting no playing time. Yeah. All of this is going to be okay. We got some guys who are slightly happy, slightly concerned. I don't know what Mensa's concerned about. 24-year-old striker. 22-year-old striker. Okay. So I'm not sure what he's concerned about. Does it say? Does it tell me? Yeah. Recent signing. That's why he's concerned. Okay. Fine. That will sort itself out. No problems there. Martinez, probably the same thing. Yeah, recent signing. All right. So these guys, they just got to get embedded with the team, and we shall be fine. Competitions, I think we looked at this last time. We got MLS, we got Supporter Shield, we got U.S. Cup. We can take a look at the season preview. That's something I like to do. MLS champions last year was Portland. I guess, we could go over that, I guess. Last year, let's see, how do we get there from here? How do we get there from here? Last season. No, that's not what I'm looking at. Let's try Supporter Shield. There we go. 2019. Columbus wins the Supporter Shield last year with 58 points. That's pretty low. They were actually tied with Seattle, but they beat them somehow, head-to-head perhaps. Games won. That's what they beat them on. I think that's the first tiebreaker, is games won. So Seattle, once again, cream of the crop in MLS, or in Western Conference. Columbus, that's an interesting Supporter Shield winner for last year. Let's see, New York, San Jose, New England, Montreal was up there. So kind of an interesting top 5 from last year. Let's see what they predict for this year in terms of season preview. Predicting LAFC, 4-1 odds. That's, to be expected. They are a talented team. So if you just look at talent, LAFC is going to be up there. You can see they got Vela is up here on the Dream 11. Martinez from Atlanta United is up there. I thought he was Atlanta. No, only one guy from LAFC. I thought those guys were going to be LAFC. Oh, I can see now. The red circle means Atlanta. Anyway, Seattle 9-2 odds. So heavy favorites for LAFC. Toronto 5-1. LA 6-1. Where are we? We are, of course, last. 26th. Newly promoted Nashville, right up there with Inter Miami, which is also newly promoted, although they don't have the P, so I don't know. And then Vancouver. That's got to be sort of shameful for Vancouver to be considered on the same level as our two expansion teams here. We can take a look at Inter Miami. They've got some interesting players on there. They signed Christian Coleman, and of course he's immediately injured. Kamiri is a guy who, they signed several players that we played with in our last save. So we got some familiar names on Miami. Kamiri, Norman, Daniel Henry, a lot of those Canadian players. And a lot of these guys were waived, so, they got them for free. Let's see, who's their highest value player? Julian Carranza, $3.4 million. Argentinian striker, 19 years old. I don't know if he's a designated player or not, but they got him as a steal. I mean, look at that. He's a pretty good player. He's not great, and we don't really know a lot about him, but he's pretty interesting. So they signed him in 2019 for $6 million. So maybe it wasn't that much of a deal. That's a lot of money. But he is a youngster. He's probably got a lot of potential. See, then they've also got Jackson Ewell, midfielder, 22 years old. Where did this guy come from? They're building with youth as well. He came from San Jose. Played 30 games last year, 2 goals, 6.68 rating. So San Jose gave up some top players, especially in the midfield. Sean Johnson is their big one at goalkeeper. He's the guy who should keep them in a lot of games. So that's going to be our big matchup this year, is when we play Inter Miami. Let's see, any other interesting teams on this list? Cincinnati, last year's expansion team, 95-1 odds. Atlanta United, that's kind of low for Atlanta United, 8th. Yeah, I don't know about that. We'll see. They're still a pretty good team. As you can see, they've got 2 players on the Dream 11 list. So we got Horvath for New York City is the Dream 11 goalkeeper. Emmanuel Moss, San Jose. So San Jose's restocked with some good players. Gonzalez from Toronto FC, Aguilar from Toronto FC. So Toronto should have a good defense. Kesco from Cincinnati. Of course, Blanco from Portland. He's got to be in there. Maldonado from NYC. And then Rui Diaz from Seattle. So a lot of familiar names on this list. Let's see. What else can we look at? Coaches? Can we look at head coach movements? They still haven't really fixed that. 2019. Let's see. Real Salt Lake had an interim coach, as their permanent head coach was fired. Carl Robinson is their new incoming head coach. Houston, also, Benjamin Galindo is their new head coach. Preki taking over for Peter Vermees. Sacked. Time for a change. Ouch, Peter. See you later, my friend. Dominic Torrance sacked in NYC for Wanda Ramos, 65-year-old Spaniard. Where did he come from? He looks like a pretty good coach. Anyway, LAFC, of course, they fired Bob Bradley, which is, weird. But anyway, Altor Karanka is their new head coach. And then Toronto FC sacking Greg Vanny, replaced with Remy Gard coming over from Montreal. So that's some interesting coach movements going on there. Okay, I think that's enough. I think that's all we need to see in this episode. Let's get to the match. Let's see what the new match engine looks like. We're playing against the top team in the West, Portland, or at least last year's top team. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes, but I think we've got a decently strong team. I think we're okay. Their head coach, Giovanni Savarese. Yeah, he's pretty good. Adaptable. Man management is kind of what you want in a coach. Maybe he's got slightly better assistant coach abilities than head coach abilities, but you know what? He's got the results, so you can't really argue with that. All right. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at Portland. Take a look at our lineup. So we are going to start out with pretty basic 4-2-3-1. Just sort of see how this works out. We're going to do positive. Try to, hold on to the ball and see what we can do. Dom Dwyer's a pretty effective pressing forward, so we're going to use him in that. We've got Carlton on the left. He's going to be the inside winger, and we'll look over our lineup in a minute, but, that's what we're doing. All right. We do have one injury. Walker Zimmerman is injured, so that's no good. He's going to be the foundation of our defense, and he's out for the very first game. So everybody making their debut, including our rookie goalkeeper, John Ward. We're going to be playing him, our number 1 draft pick, number 1 overall draft pick, Generation Adidas, all that stuff. He's going to be our starting goalkeeper for the entire season. I don't care. I'm starting a rookie in goal, and you can't stop me. Sanchez on the left, another one of our youngsters, 22 years old, came from the Super Draft. So it's 2 Super Draft players we're starting in our lineup. Then Dave Romney. Tribbett is taking over. Ken Tribbett is taking Walker Zimmerman's place temporarily. He's not a great player, 27 years old, but he's got some veteran experience. He's one of our holdovers from Nashville, the original Nashville team last year. So, he gets his chance to play under the big lights in MLS. Duncan on the right, another 22 years old. Guy we picked up in the December waiver draft. He's going to be playing right back. He's got a little bit of offensive ability going forward. Midfield, Annabelle Godoy making his debut. He's going to be our rock in the midfield. Teamed up today with Derek Jones, another 22-year-old. We got a lot of 22-year-olds. He's a beast physically. 6'4", 16 jumping reach. He's great teamwork and work rate. So he's the guy we're just going to have him run around and do stuff. He's another holdover from Nashville, so that's good. Carlton on the left, as we saw before, making his debut. Mukhtar, one of our big signees, 24-year-old German. Not the paciest guy you've ever seen, but advanced playmakers, they can be physically not so great as long as they're mentally and technically good, and he is technically very good, mentally pretty good. 15 vision, of course, is what we're looking for from the playmaker position. David Akam, our speed, our guy, he scored a lot of goals in the preseason. He can play inverted winger, inside forward, winger. He can do all kinds of stuff. We got him playing on the right, but he can play left or right either way. Another one of our big players, a guy we're going to look for a lot of production this year. And then up top, as mentioned, Dom Dwyer, 29 years old, so he's getting a little old, but he's still a top striker in MLS. 18 work rate makes him a great pressing forward. And 16 determination as well makes him a good candidate to nurture some of our younger players, so that's good. Meanwhile, Portland, they've got Bendik in goal, Silvas, Mabiala, Bill Tuiloma on defense, Smith, Krylak, Zambrano in the midfield, Blanco on the left, Valeri, Villa, and Fernandez. So they've got, just a heck of an attack. It's going to be tough to keep these guys off the scoreboard, which is, perennial problem with Portland. All right, so let's be calm. Show me what you can do. How about that? Let's get to the tone talk. Can we expect attacking from you this match? Our approach will be the one that gives us the best chance to win, which will probably be possession, but we'll see about that. How useful is David Akam's versatility? It's great, makes us stronger. That's one I haven't seen before. That's a new question. You've left Darnell King out. That is due to his injury problem. He's not ready to start a match. He's not fit. Chosen Jonathan Scott out of the starting 11. When can we expect him to get his first start? He's working hard to be in position. Jonathan Scott, I think he's another one of our draftees. So we shall see. All right, we are in the yellows. Nashville has an interesting color scheme, interesting logo. Their N, a big N for Nashville for the logo. I don't know everything behind that logo. It has to have meaning. Oh, there's a good. Oh, wait a minute. I need to look at highlights here. Extended highlights. I don't think so. I think we can go key highlights. Big ball downfield for Fernandez. He's got no support. Has to drop it back to Blanco. Can't pull it in there. So I don't know the whole history behind their logo. I'm sure their logo has like meaning and everything like that. But to me, it's just sort of a big N. It reminds me of the Minnesota North Stars. Here's Duncan sending it in. The Dory can't win it at midfield. Portland on the counter-attack. Blanco down the near side. Defense out to meet him. He centers it across. Great pass to Villa. Scoring the first goal of the game. Portland with a devastating counter. 6 minutes in, and we're down. Here it is. This is what I was telling you about. Their attack is very good. That was a great pass. Defense sort of fell asleep on that cross. Really scores. Okay, it would have been nice to see that highlight, but I guess Fernandez scored to make it 2-0. Portland. Let's take a look at this, perhaps. Is there a replay we could see? Here we go. This seems like something they should have shown a little bit more. Smith down the far sideline. Big cross to Fernandez. Again, the defense sleeping on the job. Cannot keep up with Fernandez. And Nashville's down 2-0 very quickly. Very, very quickly. Had a decent amount of shots, but they're all coming from long range. At this point, we need to keep the offense fairly open, I think. Should encourage our players to play short passing. Okay, we'll do that. We need less turnovers and less counterattacks would be helpful. Sanchez throwing to Jones. We do have a lot of young players in there and a lot of guys who haven't played much together. Only had 6 preseason games, and a lot of these guys weren't even here for that. Here's Duncan getting forward. The fullback takes a shot. I told you he was an aggressive guy. He gets downfield, but I was kind of expecting him to pass that. Here we go. Mukhtar sending one in from the corner. Gets it back, sends it in again. Big header goes wide. setting up a corner play. So I think we're just going with... okay, Trebet's booked. We'll tell him to ease off tackles. I think we're just going with the stock corner play, which actually looks fairly decent this year, so that's good. Good news. Halftime. Dressing room. Let's be assertive. Much better. And team talk. Is there anything tactically we want to do? Let's see. We got a lot of anxious and nervous boys. That's no good. Trebet is fired up. Ever since he got that yellow card, he's been fired up. Let's see. Sanchez is not playing well. Jones is not playing well. Nobody's particularly playing well. Let's see. In possession. They want us to try to work the ball, so we will try and do that. Start second half. Okay. Here we go. Quick highlight. 48 minutes. Mukhtar sends one in. Header off the crossbar. Jones, another header. Mendick with a save. Mendick getting up off the turf to make that save. Yeah, they could do with a little more lead up into these highlights, I think. We're sort of missing some of the action here. Let's see, here we go, another throw in. We seem to be taking control in the second half here. Giving the ball to Mukhtar is a good idea. Dropping it back to Romney now, the defender getting forward. He's got some fullback skills, so he's okay. And Trebet has some midfielder skills, so... oh, boy, that was awful. That was the worst pass I've ever seen. Diego Valeri in the open field is not what we want. Big stop from Ward. Valeri doesn't really have that top-end speed. So it's not the worst thing, but still, he's a proven goal scorer. Big header from Jones. Valeri has it out wide. He's a very good playmaker. We got to watch for him. Tuloma. Zambrano. Hernandez out wide to Valeri again. Can he make a play? He doesn't need to. Not a great pass across to Villa. He loses possession to Sanchez, and we clear. Uh-oh. Portland starting to take control here. Midway through the second half. Oh, there's a big steal from Sanchez. Can he get it forward to Dom Dwyer? Get it forward. Get it forward. He's not going to get it forward. He does. Dwyer, was he offsides? Can he score? Why did he go left footed there? Why did he go left footed? Anyway. We're going to need Dom Dwyer to score some goals this year if we're going to win anything. Big header. Zambrano wins it. Okay, let's see what sort of substitutions we have. Got a lot of yellow cards. Got a lot of guys who are not playing very well. We can bring Aiden Daniels in. I kind of want to bring him in for Godoy. But Godoy's our best player. We don't really want to do that either. So we'll take Jones out. Rapopa Mens, 22-year-old striker slash right or left winger. You know, our wingers are our best players. So we don't, you know, these four are our best players. So we don't really want to take any of those guys out. So I think we'll look at defense. We don't have a lot going on in defense either. We got young Mark Clark. You know, our defense has the best rating other than Duncan. And I feel like Duncan's been playing well. I mean, he's got some big steals. He's moved the ball forward. He just has a 6.5 rating, so we'll leave him all in. We'll just make the one change. Probably should have had more than one midfielder on the bench. Here comes Portland. Valeri out wide to Vila, the goal scorer. He gets by one man. Defense switches up. Smith now. Vila sends it in. Big header from Godoy, who's playing well back. Valeri. Vila. Oh, come on. Where's the defense? Ward. Good stop. The rookie, I think he's played pretty well. He's got 2 goals against him, but I don't think either one were particularly his fault. Zambrano wins the header. does get it to Dom Dwyer. Great pass out wide to O'Connell. Can he use that speed in the open field? He's getting forward. He just fires it. You know, our teamwork is lacking. I think we need to work on that in practice. So there we go. 2-0. A lot of bookings. 50% possession. I thought we did okay. We just got caught on the counterattack a couple of times. And I think some bad turnovers. I think we can iron that stuff out. Let's see. Let's be assertive. Not happy. Get out. So we know Portland's a good team. And we know that we've got a long way to go to match up with them. But I think I see some promise. We've got some speed. We got some youth. We just have to pull it all together and get these guys playing together as a team rather than a bunch of individuals. So let's see. I think we're going to move this season on a little bit, see if the team can get comfortable, and see what else we can come up with the beta and see if there's any sort of weirdness going on with the beta or anything like that. I think the match engine looks good. I think for the most part it runs smooth, and I don't have a big problem with any of the animations or anything like that. But I'm not the most critical person. You probably might know that. Anyway, we're going to cut this episode here and, come back with a little bit later and see if we can get a feel for how this team is going to shape up this year. So, until next time, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.